Okay, so we're doing something a little different and diving into the life of someone who really needs no introduction,
Hmm.
Elon Musk.
Right.
But that's sort of what makes this deep dive so interesting, right? We all think we have a handle on him. The rockets, the electric cars, the tweets, everything. But what makes him tick, you know? To go past our headlines and the hot takes, yeah.
Yeah.
You send over some excerpts from that new biography by Walter Isaacson.
Yeah.
Seems like the perfect place to start, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Isaacson really knows how to get under the skin of these larger-than-life figures. I mean, you think about his past work, Steve Jobs, Leonardo da Vinci. He's got this way of getting past the public image, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
And with Musk, he had incredible access. Family, friends, even people who honestly haven't always seen eye to eye with him were getting the story, warts and all.
Which is super important with someone as, let's face it, polarizing as Elon Musk.
For sure.
So let's rewind all the way back. Isaacson's book paints this picture of young Elon that's kind of mind-blowing. Like, okay, we've all heard the anecdotes about him reading constantly, you're right, but this is next level. This kid was memorizing entire encyclopedias.
It's pretty wild. Isaacson talks about how Elon's mom, Mae Musk, really invested in his time. Even as a young kid, she understood he was absorbing information like a sponge and just encouraged that natural curiosity.
It makes you wonder, though, right? Was all that reading just him trying to escape? Because the book also makes it clear that he was a pretty isolated kid, socially awkward, even dealt with some really intense bullying.
Yeah, and we aren't just talking about your typical schoolyard teasing. Isaacson actually talks about the bullying being so bad that Elon ended up in the hospital at one point. That kind of experience, I mean, that leaves a mark.
Absolutely.
It makes you think about how much those early years, even for someone as successful as Musk, really stay with you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then there's his whole relationship with his dad, Errol. Talk about complicated. Seems like this weird mix of admiration and resentment that really had a huge impact on him.
Yeah, it's fascinating. There's this one anecdote Isaacson shares where Elon was sending his dad money every month, but he'd reduce the amount if Errol ever bragged about Elon's success.
Oh, wow.
Speaks volumes about their dynamic.
Totally. A power struggle, even after all those years.
Yeah.
And, speaking of power struggles, Isaacson mentions this warning code that Elon's first wife had. Like, when she'd see him acting like his father, she'd use it.
Right. Such an interesting detail. This warning code, it suggests a pattern of behavior that even those closest to him picked up on. Makes you wonder about the cost of that drive. How much of who he is, the ambition, that intensity, even maybe some of those rough edges, how much goes back to those early experiences.
Right. Like, it's a lot to unpack, for sure. And we're just getting started. It's so easy to get caught up in the Elon Musk headlines, right? Oh, there he is again, this billionaire changing the world.
It's true. It's true. But you know what really stuck with me from Isaacson's book? It's how much Musk sees himself, first and foremost, as an engineer.
Yeah.
Like, Isaacson has this one part where they're talking shop, really getting into the weeds on some SpaceX engineering challenge, and Musk just blurts out, "My brain is going to explode."
Oh, classic.
Total engineer at heart.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just talk, right?
Yeah.
It's like that story about him rewriting code for one of the factory's robotic arms at Tesla just because he thought it was moving too slow.
Oh, yeah. Like, he has to optimize everything, even if it's just a few seconds here or there.
Totally. Or remember that whole thing with the stainless steel for SpaceX?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's telling him it's too expensive, it's too hard to work with. And he's just like, nope, we're doing it. It's not like we're breaking the laws of physics.
That's so Musk. But it kind of makes sense, though, when you think about it, right? Silicon Valley in the 90s, everyone's obsessed with software.
Right.
And here's Musk, back in 94, tinkering with supercapacitors for electric vehicles, years before Tesla even existed.
Right. Like he always had that love for the hardware, getting his hands dirty.
Totally. He wasn't content with just the digital world. He wants to build things in the real world, improve them, make them better.
And you can really see that in how he runs his companies, right?
Yeah, totally. Like, remember his management algorithm? It's like he's trying to apply engineering principles to, people.
Yeah, exactly. Streamline everything, constantly questioning the why,
Right. Efficiency is key.
Yeah.
And you got to make those systems repeatable if you're trying to build something at scale, whether it's cars or, colonizing Mars.
Okay, speaking of Mars, let's talk about that. I mean, where does that even come from, this vision he has for the future? It's pretty out there.
Well, according to Isaacson, you can trace it all the way back to, science fiction. The books that really blew his mind as a kid.
Like what?
Okay, so the moon is a harsh mistress. It's got this AI managing a whole lunar colony, right? Or Foundation, which is all about protecting civilization from collapse.
Yeah, Foundation.
And then there's Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is, I mean, it's Hitchhiker's Guide, but...
Right, of course.
But it really drives home this point about, like, the universe is huge and we are so small.
Right.
And suddenly you look at SpaceX, Tesla, even Neuralink and XAI, and it all kind of clicks into place.
It's all connected.
It's like he took these sci-fi concepts, multiplanetary life, sustainable energy, AI that won't turn on us, and said, I'm going to make this real.
It's ambitious.
Oh.
I mean, some people might even say a little.
Crazy. Yeah. Isaacson admits that a lot of this sounds kind of out there to the average person, but he also digs into Musk's reasoning, which, whether you agree with it or not, is kind of interesting.
How so?
Well, for one thing, Musk is really worried about humanity just losing knowledge. Like, we've done it before.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. We don't even know how they built the pyramids. Or the fact that after the Apollo program, you know, we sort of lost the ability to go back to the moon for a while.
Right.
Musk's point is, if we're not constantly pushing forward, we risk backsliding, you know, losing what makes us human.
Right. It's that lost knowledge thing. I
Exactly.
don't know if you've seen the movie Contact.
Yeah, of course.
There's that line. It's like, if it's just us, it seems like an awful waste of space. Or something like that.
Exactly. And that kind of leads into something called the Fermi paradox, which is basically, if the universe is so big, where is everyone else?
Right. I've heard
And that question, that really keeps Musk up at night. It fuels this whole idea that we need to become a multiplanetary species. It's like an insurance policy for humanity, you know?
So next time you're stressed about work, just remember, it could be worse. You could be Elon Musk, worried about the fate of humanity.
Right.
But I mean, it's a heavy concept to grapple with.
It really is.
Yeah.
Makes you think about the bigger picture, right? This fear of stagnation, of existential threats. It's a huge motivator for Musk. But that leads to a really important question. Does the end always justify the means? I mean, let's be real. Musk has definitely rubbed some people the wrong way.
It's funny, you know, because even Isaacson himself seems to be wrestling with this quote of like, is Elon Musk ultimately a good guy? You know, he's written about people like this before, right?
Right.
Like Steve Jobs. Right. These kind of brilliant, driven people, but who could also be ruthlessly tough. You know what I mean?
It's that classic question about genius, right? Like, do you have to be a little, I don't know, a little rough around the edges to really shake things up? And the thing is, with Musk, he seems to get that. Like, he knows that about himself. Isaacson quotes him saying, if I was a chill, normal dude, would I have been able to do these things?
Right. Chill, normal dude, not exactly the first thing that comes to mind.
Right. Like, it's almost like he needs that intensity, that pressure to do what he does. But you have to think about the cost, you know? We've all heard the stories about how he runs his companies, the hours, the pressure. At what point is it too much? You know what I mean?
And I think that's what makes this whole conversation so fascinating. It's not just about like cool gadgets and going to Mars. It's about the choices people make, right? Trying to do these huge, ambitious things, maybe even save humanity, but what gets lost along the way.
So it's a really complex legacy, for sure.
And to Isaacson's credit, he doesn't shy away from that. You know, he doesn't give you easy answers. He just leaves you with that question.
Yeah.
Do the ends justify the means?
Yeah.
And it's a question worth thinking about, right? We've gone way past the surface here. We've dug into what makes this guy tick. You know, his experiences, his motivations, even his flaws. So where do you stand on all this? Hit us up on social media. Let us know your take. Is Elon Musk the hero we need, or, you know, something else entirely? Thanks for listening. Thank you all for listening to today's program. We're very happy to share this interesting content with you. If you like our program, please don't forget to follow our podcast so you won't miss any new episodes. At the same time, if you find our program helpful, please feel free to leave us a 5-star rating.